what's my favorite Cathie Wood stock to buy in March? I'm going to answer that question in this video. I'm also going to support why it's my favorite, right? What I like about the stock. Now, it might not be what you like about it, but I'm going to highlight the reasons that attracts me to this stock. So let's go through Cathie Wood's portfolio and I will highlight which one is my favorite of her stocks to buy in March. So it's not Tesla. It's not Tesla. I know some of you may have been thinking Tesla is the top one to buy, but I am not saying that. And it's not Shopify. It's not Coinbase. It's not Twilio. It's not DraftKings. Now you can see she's attracted to a lot of these innovative growth stocks. And now we've reached my favorite Cathie Wood stock to buy in March, which is Roblox. Roblox, the metaverse pioneer that has attracted over 50 million daily active users to its platform. So, Roblox is my favorite Cathie Wood stock to buy in March. Now, let me support that with why I like Roblox stock. So, if we were to look at a chart of Roblox revenue growth over the last 3 years, you can see that it was a prime beneficiary of the pandemic. Look at this growth, over 120% year over year revenue growth in the March quarter of 2021. Now, it sustained this elevated level of growth over 120% again in July of 2021, but it started to decrease as economies reopened, right? 80% revenue growth in January of 2022, 40% in March of 2022, less than 40% in July, and then in its most recent quarter, just 1.8% revenue growth in its recent quarter. However, however, I will say that I was impressed that the company's revenue has remained at elevated levels and built on top of that. So, what I was fearing with Roblox was that, okay, it surged with the revenue growth, right? It exploded during the pandemic. And then when economies reopened, I was concerned that revenue would turn negative, right? It would lose all of that revenue, all of those customers that it attracted during the pandemic. It would lose all of them and then turn negative, right? It would just reverse those gains. But that hasn't happened, right? All that's happened is that it stopped growing at those elevated rates. It just said, okay, we exploded. Now we're kind of just maintaining, right? Sustaining at this high level, which I was attracted to. I like that they didn't lose all those customers just as economies reopened. They stuck with the platform, right? They tried out Roblox during the pandemic and they stuck with it. They're still there, right? They're actually building daily active users on top of where they were during the heights of the pandemic. So they're adding daily active users. It's just those daily active users are not spending as much time or as much money on the platform, which is to be understood, right? Nobody thought that they would be as popular when economies reopen, but I was relieved to see that revenue hasn't turned negative. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. The next metric that I will show you is the operating profit margin over the trailing 12 months. Now, we saw growth in this metric. Even though it was negative, it was proving that it was making progress towards profitability until after the July quarter when it turned even worse to negative 41.52%. But Roblox is one of those companies where I kind of look at the operating profit margin with a bit of an asterisk just because of the unique way that Roblox runs its accounting. So let me explain that. Let me explain what I mean by that. So if you're not aware, Roblox is free to join, right? People can join Roblox's platform for free. They don't have to put any money and they can play the games, they can interact with their friends, all of that stuff, right? But if you want to experience some of the premium activities on the Roblox platform, you have to deposit money and buy Robux. That's where you have to deposit money and buy Robux. Okay? But when customers deposit money to buy Robux, let's say you deposit $100. Roblox does not account for that as $100 in revenue. That's what I mean by the unique accounting of Roblox. So what it does is it takes that $100 and spreads it out over 24 months and counts it as revenue over 24 months. So if you deposit $100 on Roblox, it's going to count only like $5 in revenue each month over the next 24 months. Okay? So that's why I say it's a little bit murky in terms of looking at its operating profits and revenue, right? So I look at a few different metrics with Roblox that gives me more insight into what's going on into the company. And I mentioned a couple of those: daily active users. I look at engagement, both of which have been building on top of the elevated levels in before the outbreak. And then another interesting thing about Roblox is it pays a massive amount of its expenses in stock-based compensation. And it's been rising. So this is Roblox's stock-based compensation, 29.27% of revenues in its most recent quarter, and that's been rising. The interesting thing about stock-based compensation is that it's a non-cash expense. It's not cash. So the company pays their employees, their people, in stock grants or stock options, and this it needs to account for, but it doesn't pay cash out. Okay, so that's the interesting thing. It's not a cash expense, and what that has allowed is Roblox to operate at positive cash flow from operations. You see here, trailing 12-month cash flow from operations, it peaked at at 720 million during the height of the pandemic, and that's come down by about 50%. It's at about 369 million in its most recent trailing 12 months, but nevertheless it's positive. It's positive. And then looking at its cash flow to sales, cash flow from operations to sales over the trailing 12 months, also positive. It has been declining. That's understandable. You're not expecting Roblox to do as well as it did during the heights of the pandemic. And over the trailing 12 months at 16.6%. Here's another interesting thing I'll point out about Roblox. So Roblox platform, it doesn't pay developers to create the games on the platform until those games prove to be valuable to users. Let me explain that further. So Roblox tells developers, hey, you guys make the games, put it on our platform. We're not going to pay you. We're not going to promise to pay you anything. What we'll give you is a percentage of the revenues that those games generate. So if you develop a hit game, you're going to make a lot of money because you're going to get a percentage of the revenues that game generates. But if you develop a flop, you're not going to get any money at all. And on top of that, Roblox doesn't pay the developers until after the games start earning revenue, right? So developers are continuously creating games, creating engaging activities for the users on Roblox, attracting users, and Roblox is not paying these developers unless they turn out hits, right? So in that way, it's not as risky, right? It's not spending all of this money paying developers, having them on their salary, and with the risk that they're not going to develop any hits, right? So they've kind of done that, and I like that about Roblox, the business model. I like that they've put it in, they've kind of outsourced that game development, and the way they've structured the pay ensures that they only pay for things that are valuable to the users. So Roblox is not wasting any money on content or games that really suck, right? It's kind of, in my view, it's kind of like the opposite of Netflix. Netflix pays for all of this content. Some of it turn out to be really big hits. Some of it turn out to be flops. Doesn't matter. Netflix has to pay for all of it. Roblox gets the benefit of only paying for the items that become hits. and not paying for the ones that are not hits. And so I kind of like that business model. That's one of the things that's attracted me to Roblox is the way it's structured its business in that pays a lot of stock-based compensation, so it's not money out of pocket up front, and then the way it outsources development of the hit games. So these are unique little aspects of Roblox business that has attracted me to it. I own Roblox stock, and I typically don't own any of the type of stocks that Cathie Wood owns, right? I'm not very much of an innovative stock investor. I tend to look at profit. I tend to value profits and cash flow and earnings a lot more than most investors do. And most of Cathie Wood's stocks are, unprofitable growth stocks with really expensive valuations, which is not my kind of style. I'm more in the camp of looking at profits, looking at cash flow, and which is a bit surprising that I would be attracted to Roblox, but it's because Roblox has those unique aspects of the business that I talked about earlier. All right, so that's all I've got for this video. If you liked this video, I'm going to link to this video up here that's going to talk about the 20 stocks that are the best stocks for 2023. I'm also going to link to another video up here about more Cathie Wood stocks. So there might be flipped like this, I'm not sure, but go ahead and click those and I'll see you over there.